Hello Hex Kittens, welcome back to another episode of Knitting's a Drag. I'm Alexis Hex, and today we're knitting tiny roses. Now the tiny rose pattern is from Mochi Mochi Land, which is created by my friend Anna. She is amazing, her books are fun, she's all about making toys, and toys make us happy, and in these times, we need a lot of happy. And what better than some cute little toys? And I will link to that pattern down below, and let me show you how to make these sweet little roses. Alright, these tiny roses are so much fun to make, and they're perfect for using up like little leftover scraps of your sock yarn. As you can see, actually this one is made from like a leftover sock yarn, so you can see it's a variegated, all the fun colors. And these are just kind of solid colors, so you can kind of make whole bouquets and gardens of whatever colors you choose. And today I'm going to show you how to make that. These are made with sock yarn, fingering weight yarn, and on size 1 needles. But I'm going to knit them a little bit bigger, just so it's easier to see the details on camera, with worsted weight and size 6 needles. And I will show you how that goes right now. Alright, so to begin, we are going to cast on 3 stitches onto this one singular double pointed needle. And we're going to do that how we normally do. We're going to create a slip knot. I'm just going to use the long tail cast on to make our second stitch and our third stitch. And now we are going to work 10 rounds of I-cord. So normally you kind of, when you're knitting, you work from one needle and then you flop and you go the other way. But this is a little bit different. So when you're working I-cord, notice I didn't flip to kind of start where I normally would and work on this first stitch. I want to leave it the way it was. And we are going to knit 3 stitches. Alright. 1, 2, and 3. So usually when you're knitting, this would be the time where you'd flip it and then work across the other way. But with I-cord, you're making actually like a little tube, so you're actually knitting in a circle. So what we do is we just slide it down to the end, and then that brings the yarn wrapping all the way around to get back to the front. So that's what's creating the little tube. And we're going to knit 3. And always kind of pull it down at the end, and you can start to see the little tube that is forming of I-cord. We'll do a 3rd row. And, oop, there we go, and 3. And then we slide it down. You can start to see a little tube forming. And you just continue in that method until you have done all 10 rows. Here's our 4th row. Knitting every stitch. And bring it down, and I will finish the last few rows, and I will be right back. Alright, so we now have done 10 rows of I-cord, and you can see the nice little tube that it's made. Now we are going to work one more round of I-cord, but we are switching to the color of our flower. We're going to use this nice pretty pink that you all might remember from such videos as our first one where we learned to make a scarf. So So I have some of that extra laying around, so I thought, perfect. What a better way to show off how we are using, leftover yarn. So, and just for changing colors, you don't do anything special, you just take a stitch with it. Boom. And then you just continue to knit. And there we go. Now you'll have a little bit of looseness there. Sometimes you can pull on the tails of the other colors, but we'll figure that out a little bit at the end. And then for the next one, we are going to work still as I-cord with the pink, and we are going to increase in each one of them. We're going to do a knit front back increase. So we are going to knit through the front, and then come back around and knit through the back, creating 2 stitches, and then we drop it off. And again, we're going to knit front and back, creating 2 stitches out of 1, drop off the old stitch. And then we're doing the same for the last stitch. Alright. Didn't quite pass through on that one like I thought I did. There we go. Now we have 6 stitches on the needle instead of just the 3. And now we're going to divide the stitches up on more double pointed needles. And the easiest way to do that is just to come through and slip them this way. Slip. So the orientation on the needle doesn't change. There's 2 there. So you're always slipping as if you were to purl. Like if you're taking a purl stitch, that's how you come in through the stitch. You don't want to slip this way as a knit stitch because that would twist the stitches. So just slip them off purlwise. And there we go. Now you have them divided onto 3 double pointed needles so that you can continue going in the round. Kind of like what we've been doing, but when you have more stitches, you just need a little bit more to cover it, otherwise it gets really loose and wonky. And we are also, for the next round, we are going to knit front back 6 times, creating 12 stitches. So we're going to take our working yarn, and we will go in here. There we go. It seems a little awkward sometimes for the first time using double points, but once you got a little bit of fabric on them, they don't really move too much, and it's really easy. It's really no different than what you've been doing before on its regular straight needles. They're just holding other needles, so you're still doing the same thing. There we go. Knit front back for that one, slip it off, and then we're going to knit front back. Go. And then when we're done, you just turn, because you're going in a circle, and you're always moving from your left needle to your right needle, and your right needle will always be the one that's loose in your hand. So we're doing it again. We're going to knit front back, and knit front back. Go. Oh, got a little caught on itself there. Knit front back. There we go. And drop it off. Alright, we have 1 left to do of these increases. Alright, and we will knit front back. Drop it off and knit front back. And there we go. We've completed a whole round on double points and increasing. Alright, so the next round, we're still increasing, but we're not increasing into every stitch. We're going to do a knit front back, knit 1. All right, so that is going to be knit front back, like that. And then knit 1. Knit front back. Excellent. And knit 1. And there we go. We're going to continue that all the way around, and I will see you at the end of this round. Okay, so now we finished the increases, and now we need to knit 5 rounds, just regular going at it, and just make sure if you're getting lost, you see these little dangly bits? The dangly bits is where the beginning of your round happens, from that we haven't woven in yet from our previous colors and where we attached everything. So here is just a good reminder where the little tails are. That's the beginning of your round. And so we can just go. Now we're just going to knit every stitch. All the way around. All 18 stitches. There we go. And we turn. And keep knitting across. Turn again. And that's one round. And so we do 4 more, and I will see you here when we have 4 more rounds done. Okay, so now we have done the 5 rounds, and you can see you got the kind of nice shape of your little rows going on. And the next part is we are going to bind off purlwise. So as a reminder, for purling, you have to keep your yarn to the front, and you come in this way, and you're doing it all on the front side of the stitch. So we're gonna purl 1, purl 2, and then for binding off, you pass that first one over. And then we purl. And purl. Now the whole time binding off, you purl 1, and pass that first stitch over the newest stitch while keeping it on the needle. And purl. And then purl. Pass that stitch over. And we're down one of the double points. And we just continue on until all of these stitches have been bound off. There we go, just like that. Perfect. There we go. And this creates a little bump on the side. This gives a little bit of a nice textural difference on the outside of the rose. And also it helps kind of to prevent too much curling in the stockinette stitch that we've made. Because even though we're knitting in the round, all the bumps are on one side, so it is still a stockinette stitch, even though it's going in the round. Alright, we've lost our second double point, and we're on the last bunch of the stitches here. Alright, purl. Pass over. Purl. Pass over. There we go. And there we go. That is the last one. So we're going to take our scissors. Pull that through the loop. Those things, and then pull it on tight. Alright. At this point, I like to kind of weave in the ends that I have going so far, just to kind of secure this, and I'll show you how to do that. Alright, first thing I like to do is you want to take the end of that row and kind of connect it to the beginning of that row. A nice little pull through so that it really finishes off that round really nicely. Then I like to just follow the direction of the stitches and just kind of go with the flow of that. Pull that through. Give that a little snip. There we go, and then we want to secure these. Alright, so first I want to start with the cast on green. The best way I like to get rid of this to just kind of go into the tip of the I cord. Kind of get in where you can. That first little part's a little tricky sometimes. But once you're in, you just kind of carefully, it takes a little bit of time not to pop out of it, but remember, it is a tube. So I like to just bring up the yarn until it comes out of here. And just whoop. There we go. And that kind of actually adds a little stiffness to the tube too, which is nice. Just go in there and snip some of the excess off. I do pretty much the same thing with the other two. The green, I like to a little bit from the top just to kind of anchor it. Work it down through the I cord. Pull that through. And then snip it. I always like to try to do a bunch of my weaving in as I go, because then it's not so daunting at the end. Okay. Pick up some stitches there. I like to kind of bring that up so you don't see as much of the little gap that had been there at one point. Kind of come back up and over. We'll run that down through the stem as well. And then kind of pull down the stem a little bit. Snip. That way you can straighten it out and it hides it all completely. Alright, on to the next part of the knitting. Alright, so using one double point, we are going to cast on 12 stitches, and I am using the long tail cast on. Because not only is it my favorite, it just makes sense to leave a tail for this one so that it's easier to attach this piece to the final toy. And we're just gonna continue. 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Wonderful. And then we have that all here. And for our first row, it wants us to purl. So we will purl all 12 of these stitches. And there we go. Purl 1. Yarns to the front. Coming in from the back. There we go. Purl across. There we go. And that's row 1 of the inner petals. Row 2, we're going to knit 1. We are going to knit front back. And then we're going to finish knitting across. Of course, yarn is to the back. And knit all the way across. And there we go. That is row 2. And row 3, you guessed it, purl across. Now we're going to purl across. Yeah, I always love watching how everything just starts to take shape. You know, everything is knit and purls, but you know, depending on how you throw those knit pearls together, it could be a sweater, it could be a little rose. Today it's a little rose, and it's adorable. But yeah, I love watching as it, like, you know, starts to fruition, and you see the little piece coming to life, and you see the shaping. You're like, oh, I see what it is. I see what it is. Right. All right. There we go. And then we're doing another increase row here with a knit 1. Knit front back on that second stitch. and knit all the way across. And after this, we have another purl row and then another increase row the same way. And I will meet up with you after those are all done. Alright, so we finished all the rows for the inner petal, and as you can see, where our increases all fall here, it juts out a little bit bigger on the top. And then for the last part of this, we have to bind off, and so we're going to go back to where we had finished, and we are going to bind off knitwise. So it's kind of just like the opposite of the front, since we were looking at the knit stitches, they wanted it bound off purlwise, and for this one we're looking at the purl stitches, so we are going to bind off knitwise, which is probably the way most of you are most familiar with anyway. So we are going to go in, we're going to knit 2 stitches, drop off that first stitch, leaving that one on the needle, and do that all the way across. There we go. Just like that. Perfect. And there we are. Now we're going to take our scissors, take that off, go, pull that through the loop, and it's finished off. Alright, now what we have to do is we're going to weave this end and through there like we had done before. I'm just going to do that part off camera, and then I'll show you about attaching this to the rest of the flower. Alright, so with that top part weaved in, and we still have our long tail, we are going to roll it with the knit side facing out. This. And give this our little spiral. Our darning needle. We're going to go a little bit underneath here. Come out a little bit of the petal like that. Drive the petal on in. Through, and I like to try to weave through the inner petal a little bit. So I go through, weave through the inner petal a little, pop on out, just to kind of, you know, secure it. It doesn't have to be super secure, but you just want to make sure that it's not going anywhere. Do a little bit, and work its way down the I-cord stem. Alright, so it's starting to shape up. You can see that's starting to look like a little rose. Alright, we'll snip this off. almost at the end. Alright, so we're ready to work the leaves. I've cast on 2 stitches back in the green, and we're going to work flat on our double pointed needles right now. And for the first row, we are going to knit front back twice. Drop that off. Go, giving us 4 stitches, and then we're going to purl this row. So back yarn to the front, purl, and then we're going to knit it. And then we're going to purl. One more knit row. And then we're going to purl 2 together twice. So this is a decreased stitch. And to purl 2 together, you're going to come in as like you're going to purl, but you're going to do it through both of these stitches. So you see how you're through the first 2? You're going to wrap that yarn over, pull up that 1 stitch through both, drop both of those off, leaving 1 stitch. And we're going to do that again. Go through both of the stitches with the left, or with the right needle rather. Wrap your yarn. Pull up 1 new stitch out of the 2 and drop the old 2. So that is our decrease, a purl 2 together decrease. And now it wants us to knit front back. So we are going to knit front back. And luckily we've had some practice with this one in this pattern. So we're going to knit front back, drop it off, and knit front and back. There we go. So you can see we're back up to 4 stitches again. And we are going to purl this next row. Back, and we're going to knit. And we're going to purl again. Knit 1 more row. Alright, and then for the final one, we're going to purl 2 together again. So we're going to go through those 2 stitches. Ooh, but we're going to have to make sure our yarn, there we go, is to the front so that we can purl. Go. Purl two together. And purl two together. And then we're going to cut our yarn. And then we're going to weave this yarn through both of those stitches. Alright, and then just put your yarn on the darning needle is the easiest way to do it. And then there we go. And you can just pull through those stitches, kind of pulling it tightly. And there you have the leaves for your rose. Now what I like to do then is we're going to attach the leaves. So I like to weave in my ends right up here into like the middle part. Pull it, not too tight because you don't want to like, if you pull it too tight, you end up smushing your flower or your leaves. So you want to kind of make sure that stays stretched to the right size. Take it out here, and then I like to kind of come into the back of the I-cord, pop out a little bit here. Go. Yeah, not too hard, otherwise you pull that leaf. Kind of go back in. Back out. Go back through one more time, and then out the bottom. And then we can do the same with this part, kind of just weave it down and then work it down through the stem. Alright, so now we're almost done. We have the whole body of the rose done, as you can see. It looks super cute. Now we're just going to put a couple little eyes on to give it some personality. So I have some black yarn on my darning needle. Come through from the inside. Then about 2 stitches high. Back in like that. Go. Take a couple of stitches and then work that one down and out. And now we do the second eye. Have that one come over here. Come up the same height as the other one. Go. I'll work its way down. And now it has little eyes. Then we're going to cut off the last of this. And voila! You've knit a tiny rose. A slightly larger tiny rose if you're using the worsted like I just did here. But yeah, just so you can see the difference. This is the actual size if you follow the pattern with using the fingering weight yarn in size 1 needles, and then this is a worsted weight yarn with size 6. But that's kind of one of the nice things too about the Mochi Mochi Land patterns, is that it's all done by rows, so you can kind of change your needles and yarn weight and make different sizes of them. You can make little families, and it's real cute.
There you have it. Everything you need to know to knit a tiny little rose. If you like this video, please like and subscribe to my channel, share it with a friend, leave some comments down below, tweet me your finished projects, I love to see them. And until next time, stay hexy. Bye.